It's that special time of the year again, and luckily I've selected a rather good Christmas film. I believe it's actually not a new one. Let's talk about Arthus Christmas. Hi, my name is Stu and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. Now, I'm not an overly Christmas guy. I do enjoy Christmas, but obviously I want to join in the fun and review a Christmas film at Christmas. Now, I do hope that with years coming that we will get good Christmas films, because that is not always a given. If I think about, Netflix, just as an example, likes to cover us in all sorts of Christmas films, the quality of which, as I understand, because I definitely haven't seen all of them, is rather dubious. So, I got this suggestion from big channel fan, my mum, a film called Arthus Christmas. It's actually from 2011. I didn't even know this existed. I'd never heard of it before. It's a joint UK and American production, but it's very British, I will say, especially if you look at the cast. It's extremely British. Like I said, hadn't heard anything about it, so in 2011 this was not on my radar. It wasn't the most financially successful film either. It had a budget of $100 million and during its box office run only made 141 million back, something like that. So not exactly a success, which I'm actually quite surprised about because, well, like I sort of prefaced in the intro, I do believe it's a good film. Yeah, so like I say, I'm not an overly Christmassy guy, but I like to join in the fun. So I do have a decorated home. I know the background is not decorated in a Christmassy way. Much to do this Christmas, you know, we had a little elf move in with us, and so every night we have to prepare something for my 3-year-old daughter. It's a lot of fun, but it doesn't leave me time to decorate the rest of the place. So I hope you do not, object to my surroundings looking exactly the same as usual. Anyway, let's get stuck into Arthus Christmas, shall we? And by the way, if you're thinking the name is weird, I actually agree, and I will come back to that in a while, after we've talked about the plot and various other things. So, speaking of the plot, what is the film about? We are focused on the family Klaus, and I'm saying specifically family because this film, in general, it likes to sort of not exactly flip on its head the usual things that we know or like to think we know about Christmas and Santa Claus and the presents and all these things, but it's trying to reinvent it for a modern audience, especially nowadays, or even when it came back in 2011, where you've got kids who seem to be growing up faster and faster, and at a younger age, and a technological world especially, where you've got things like security cameras and wondering, how does Santa manage to deliver all these parcels without being detected and on time and all these kind of things. So this film makes a slight attempt to sort of explain some of these things in a more modern context. One of them being that Santa Claus isn't just one person, it's a family, and it's actually a mantle, a title that's handed down in the family from one generation to the next, which is quite cool. I think this is pretty much the first time I have seen this, at least. But I thought that was really cool. So once they reach a certain age, they pass the mantle on to typically their sons, and they continue the mission, as it's called. And also it's very modernized in that way. It's quite funny. So we've got the main Santa Claus here. He is on what many believe is his final mission, his 70th mission. He's actually played by Jim Broadbent, who is absolutely fitting for him because he's a bit sort of laid back, very relaxed about the whole thing, because at this point, at his age, everyone else is doing all the work. So he's like, oh yes, this is excellent, Perfect fit casting there. Who actually does the main work is his son, Stephen Klaus. He's played by Hugh Laurie, which is absolutely a brilliant choice to have a person like Hugh Laurie in this role. And he's very militaristic, so he's even got a military uniform on, and that's what he's turned the operation into. So it's a huge military operation. You've got thousands of elves who are all there, and the North Pole, they've got this huge facility. It's top modern, screens and switches. It looks like a command center for a spaceship, actually. That's what it looks like. And they've got the sleigh isn't a tiny wee thing made out of wood. It's this massive ship that's got a camouflage, a cloaking device, and they fly with that around the world. They drop down the elves, and it's all highly technological, etc. So I think that's quite cool. It updates in a very fun way. So Stephen, he expects that he's going to receive the mantle because it's Santa Claus's final mission. Turns out Santa's like, no, I'll keep going, which obviously, as you can imagine, frustrates Stephen. And the main, well, there are a few other characters as well, but the main other character in the story, bar one, we need to talk about one more at least as well, is Arthur, the titular Arthur Claus. He is Stephen's younger brother. He is a bit clumsy. He is absolutely enthusiastic about Christmas. He just loves it, thinks his father is amazing for all the stuff that he does and all the joy he brings. At the same time, he's not really cut out for the work part of it, it seems, and he is sort of put in a silent wee office answering children's letters to Santa. That's his main job. So those are the three we're really centered on. There's one more, the previous Santa Claus, the Grand Santa. He is, sorry, I forgot to mention that Arthur, he is voiced by James McAvoy, who's an actor I like really a lot. So I was very happy to see that. And like I said, the last one we need to mention is Grand Santa. He is voiced by Bill Nye. He's the previous one. He was the last Santa who was solely, let's call it analog, with just pure magic and just the wooden sleigh and didn't need all this technological mumbo jumbo fancy stuff, etc. Yeah, so those are the four main players. What happens in the story is you see them delivering all these parcels, and there's so much going on actually. It almost makes you want to pause the screen and let it go at half speed because there's so much going on the screen. And I'm not saying too much, it just shows you how efficient these elves are. They're really carrying out like a military operation, delivering all these parcels to all these people and children. And it's really cool. I like all the sequences and you see what they do. They've really thought about how this would look like if it were actually a military operation. I thought it was quite impressive. And so they deliver all the parcels, right? And everyone's happy and joyous and it's amazing. Then they have a big celebration once Santa's back. Stephen's expecting to be nominated, as a new Santa. He's going to be given the mantle. That doesn't happen. Santa says, no, let's look forward to next year. I'll do it again next year. Stephen, obviously completely dismayed at the news. They then discover, after everyone's already back, etc., that they had actually forgotten one parcel because there was a wee sort of accident that happened and one parcel wasn't on the conveyor belts. It fell down. It was actually a bike. And so one child did not receive a parcel. And this Arthur is one who discovers this quite early, and he's completely in shock because it's not possible that a child doesn't get a parcel for Christmas. Brings the issue to Stephen, and Santa. Santa at this point, he's like, oh, whatever Stephen thinks, that's what's done because, he doesn't do anything anymore. And Stephen's like, well, we can't do anymore because the big sleigh can't fly anymore. And it's just one child, and what is one child? And so Arthur goes on this mission to deliver this one parcel. He's only got a few hours left to do it. And Santa goes off to bed because oh no, well, Stephen says no, so we're not going to do it. But who does care? It's Grand Santa, so he brings out the old sleigh and some reindeers and they go off trying to deliver this one parcel. Now it's really cool because you discover all the traditional ways it used to be done, and the problem is the two of them, they get into some trouble. So it's not smooth riding. It's not just, right, we're flying to this one child, this little girl, to deliver it. Things happen along the way. I won't tell you exactly what because that is the fun and the main, the main bulk of the film is the fun of watching these two who are both a bit the one's clumsy, the other one's already quite old and very laid back, but so laissez-faire, let's just go with the flow and all these kind of things. So yeah, quite an odd couple, but they get into a lot of adventures, let's put it that way. At some point, Stephen and Santa, they learn of this, and that also becomes an issue, of course, and they try to intervene in many ways before especially the world learns of Santa Claus, because that's one of the main aspects of the mission. You always have to stay hidden, you're not allowed to be seen. And there's a big danger of this because we've got these two guys in a sleigh, not exactly fulfilling the job, 100% without any hiccups. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's as much as I'll tell you about the story. So it's a rather unusual tale. I would say this is a film, if you're a bit bored, or your children are a bit bored of the classical Christmas tale, I'd say this is probably a film that would make you happy, or make them happy, because it does, like I say, try to reinvent the story a bit, try to give it a fresh spin, which I appreciated, especially, like I say, with a sort of modern pair of glasses on, you know, if you're looking at it through that lens. I think it works really well. It's got great humour. I found myself laughing out loud quite a few times, so I really enjoyed quite a lot of aspects of it. For a film that came out in 2011, the animation is superb. I liked it throughout. It's high quality. I like how the characters are designed as well, all the Klauses with their big, really big, enormous noses. I thought that was quite funny. Even Arthur, although he's quite young, he's got this huge, massive nose. It's quite good. It's got its great moments. You've got a lot of, obviously, comic relief in it. There's one character besides the two, the odd couple that we've got in the sleigh. There's actually an elf that goes along with them, voiced by Ashley Jensen. The name of the elf is Bryony Shelby, if I've got it correctly. She's a rapping elf, which is quite funny. So there's a lot of talking about how how everything needs to be wrapped correctly, and there's always time for a bow. You know, you can always put a bow on a present. So she gets mixed up in the whole thing because the elves obviously are feverishly determined to get each child their presents. Yeah. So the three of them, actually, so it's not just a couple, it's actually three of them on this journey with the reindeers, of course. And yeah, they get into a spot of trouble here and there. It's a lot of fun, like I say. I thought it was great, this examination. Also, it's a bit of a family story because you've got this passing of the mantle, which is new. We're not used to this in a Santa story. So it also examines the character of Santa Claus, you know, how he is, how he should be, what his qualities, his own qualities as a character, as a person should be. You know, I mean, Stephen, he's this militaristic guy, so he's like, oh, well, it's just, we didn't fulfill our mission by 0.0001%, you know, sort of. So he's like, that's fine, you know, it's one kid, look at all this stuff we've achieved, which is correct, but of course, then on the other side, you've got Arthur, who's like, but every Christmas, you've got Santa delivering parcels to all the children, and if one parcel isn't delivered, you know, what's that going to mean? Is that child going to lose faith in Santa? Because, I mean, for him, that's his world, you know, and like I say, he loves his father and just thinks he's the best and doesn't want a child being disappointed in him. So it's like I say, it's also interesting from that aspect, but mainly it's a lot of fun. It definitely doesn't take itself too seriously. Like I say, I'm quite surprised that it flew under my radar because it's overall a really fun film. Not my best, I will say, if you haven't heard of it or are new to the channel. My favourite Christmas film is actually one I discovered just a few years ago. The name of it is Klaus. It's a Netflix film. So this is because I spoke about Netflix having bad Christmas films. This is the one really big exception of them having an absolutely outstanding film. If you've never seen Klaus, it's also an animated film. It also tries to reinvent the Christmas story, not quite so much, or I'll say, let's put it this way, it tries to give it an origin, right? And it's really good. I love the film. It's the best version of the Santa story I have seen to date. So if you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link to my review of that film at the end of this video, and you should definitely watch it if you've got Netflix, because like I say, that to me is the best Christmas film up to now. Who knows? I hope, of course, that there'll be an even better one someday, because why wouldn't you hope that? Anyway, like I say, if you're looking for an unusual film, one that, like I say, is not as sort of, you know, by the book, or as you're used to, as you know, then I'd say give Arthus Christmas a shot. I will say, because I've just mentioned the title again, I don't know why that is the title. It's really weird to me, Arthus Christmas. The initial title, the working title, was Operation Rudolph, which I kind of get. But the funny thing is, Rudolph doesn't even appear because none of the reindeer are actually called Rudolph. So I don't know why they didn't just go with Operation Santa. It best describes what this is about. Santa isn't a person, it's an operation with so many people involved. Both humans and elves, you know, and reindeer, trying to get all of this off the ground. Would have been a better title. I mean, Arthus Christmas. Who saw that and was like, oh, I want to go and see Arthus Christmas. Who's Arthur? You know, I mean, it's got to do with Christmas. Okay, fine, that's in the title, but who's Arthur? It's a bit weird. So I think they should have given it a different title. Like I say, mine just off the cuff would be Operation Santa. I think that would be better. But yeah, anyway, Very worthwhile film, definitely check it out if you are looking for an interesting Christmas film. That will be all from me today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe. It is the best way to support this channel. Leave a comment down below about Arthus Christmas or Klaus if you've seen it, or any other Christmas films that you want to recommend or talk about. Like I say, I'll leave a link to Klaus, it'll probably be up here. At the end of this video, obviously in closing, I'll wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well while we're at it. I'll also probably watch a Christmas film and release a review for next week, but we'll see if my plans might change or not. Anyway, I'll thank you for watching this video and I'll see you in the next one on Flying Wiener. Take care.